Hey guys, welcome to our Nintendo Direct reaction episode. We actually spent a lot of time talking about Resident Evil 7 and Persona 5, as I was finally convinced to give those games a shot, and we talk about several other games that we're both playing, and then we jump into our reactions to this past week's Nintendo Direct Mini. Some interesting stuff announced. We talk about the conversation around it as well, and Nintendo's amazing troll leading up to it, and then next week we'll talk about our full preview for 2018. So this week is mainly just what we're playing in Nintendo Direct. Next week is all of 2018. Enjoy.
Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
Let's get started here with episode 109. That's right, we pretty much did 7 episodes over the course of 2 weeks, which was crazy, but it was a lot of fun. So we took a little break, and as far as the episode count goes, we're actually ahead. We should normally be at like episode 105, I think, at this point. We're pretty much the exact 2-year mark of doing this show.
We are, yeah.
But we did a few extra episodes the last couple weeks. Hope you guys enjoyed those. Everyone who listened to them, hope you enjoyed listening to the two of us, plus Rudy Regalado and Kyle Neely, as the four of us battled it out for a number of different categories for Game of the Year 2017. It was a lot of fun. It was a great year for gaming, so it made for interesting conversation. On more of a down year for gaming, of course, that's not as fun. So I'm glad this was a good year for that. So yeah, my name is Tim Nestor, by the way. You're listening to Fathers of the Grind. I'm here with Derek Teague. Good evening, my friend.
Hello. Sorry, you caught me in the middle of a yawn.
That's all right. As we were playing Rocket League and talking today, my son, of course, asked me, who's Derek? And that hurt your feelings, so I apologize for that.
Sad.
And as I started to explain to him, I was like, well, that's. He goes, is that your friend? I said, yes. And then I realized, I don't know, the fact that he didn't recognize your name right away, I might not be his friend anymore. I'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad because all 3 of my kids definitely know who Tim is.
Yeah.
So it's sad that your 19 kids don't know who Derek is.
It's true. It's true.
I thought by now you would have like a picture of me, like a selfie of me up in your house. You know how you have your family pictures, and then like next to your family picture, maybe a picture just of me.
It's actually quite the opposite. You know, when you're going through Facebook and a kid might come nearby near your phone, and maybe there's some kind of offensive, potentially inappropriate image right there, and you're like, well, I better skip this because someone posted some video that my kids shouldn't see. I do the same thing when I see your selfies and the kids are nearby. I just scroll past real quick, like, I don't let them see that. So.
Well, I mean, then they'll see the truth.
They'll see the truth.
The more handsome father of the grind.
You need to start
Florida.
hashtagging all of your bathroom selfies with #the truth from now on. This is the truth.
The truth is
the truth. All right, well, we're going to do something we haven't done in a little while, and that is talk about stuff we are currently playing. Not that we're going to spend a ton of time doing this, because what we really want to do is talk about the Nintendo Direct Mini that just happened, and then wrap up by going through as many of the major releases that we can, just talking about stuff that's coming in 2018. So this is your official 2018 Fathers of the Grind preview episode. So that is what we are doing. So Derek, first of all, before we get into the preview stuff, why don't you tell me what's some of the stuff you've been playing?
I wrote a couple games down. Rocket League, which I know everybody's like, you've been playing that for 2.5 years, and I do. But I do sometimes back off of it. But lately, probably the last month, I've been playing a ton of Rocket League. It's definitely been my main game. And the main reason is I'm tired, and I don't know if it's just the holidays or whatever it is, but I'm not in the mood for gaming. So I've been watching a lot of when college football was on, I was watching all the college football games. I've even been watching the NFL playoffs. I've been watching college basketball. I've watched a little bit of the NBA stuff. College basketball I'll watch, but the NBA I never really watched that. But it's mainly because I'm just too tired of the game, and I think it's just because I didn't really want to jump into anything. Maybe it's because we played so many games. I just finished over the holiday break, because we haven't really talked about what we've been playing, I finished my second playthrough of The Witcher 3. I definitely took my time with that. I didn't.
But you
didn't
stopped
do
short of the
100%.
Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine, right? You didn't do those.
Yeah, I just played. Main reason is, and I'll tell you why. I just wanted to get through it just so I could say, well, I finished it the second time because I was so far into it. I wouldn't have finished it if I wasn't so far into it, and the main reason is the PlayStation Pro version is absolute garbage. It's absolute garbage. It looks good, like decent. Now, it'll look good if you're used to like the regular PlayStation 4 version, but when you're comparing it to like PC or even the Xbox One X, it does not look as good. But the main reason it's trash is because it kept crashing, and I'm not the only one that's doing this too. Rob Rinaldi was also playing it at the same time I was.
That'll ruin any
And
game,
he has
man. That sucks.
Yeah, and he has the PS4 Pro as well. We both had boost mode activated, and the game would not let you sell any items to any merchants because it would crash if you did that. There were some other issues. Oh, if I went to go just keep it in storage, it would crash. Towards the end, I crashed at least 20, 25 times, and I was just like, you know what? I'm only doing story missions. I'm not picking up any loot unless I'm gonna actually wear it, which I was pretty much set on what I was wearing and what I was using as far as swords. So I pretty much just stopped looting or caring about side quests and just focused on the main story, and I finished that.
Okay.
So after I did that, I was kind of like sick of playing games, so Rocket League's my casual answer. Now, lately, I've actually been jumping back into Persona 5. It was between that, Yakuza 0, or Xenoblades 2, Chronicles 2, and I decided I wanted to see if I do actually like Persona 5 since I was sticking up for it so much, and I do. I'm enjoying it. I enjoy the option button still the most. It fast forwards through all the garbage, and it always pauses when I have to respond. So all I do is I fast forward through everything, and they usually ask me a question. Keep in mind, if you played Persona 5, you're the leader of the thieves, or whatever they're called, Thief Guild or whatever, and so they always look up to you, like they want direction from you. So I fast forward through all their garbage, and they talk way too much, and then they'll ask me something, and I'll have to read the answers, and then behind the answers, like kind of faded, is the question, which is kind of blocked off. So I have to always guess what they're asking me. So it's kind of a puzzle game now. So I kind of like that. They're like, oh, which response is correct here?
Man.
So I've been playing that. I am enjoying it. I love the gameplay. I love the style. I love the graphics. I even like most of the voice acting. I love the story. Is it a little over the top? Yes. I think like some of the villains past the first villain are kind of weak. But my biggest issue with this game is still the social aspect of it. I feel like I'm just wandering around. I feel like I need to research how I should respond to people so they like me or I connect with them better. I'm not really into that still, but overall, I think Persona 5 is a great game. So I'm not going to say I'm going to beat it because I've looked at Persona 5 like I looked at Zelda Breath of the Wild, and this will be a continuous game. Like, I might play it for 10 hours, quit it for 2 or 3 months, come back, play it for 10 hours. It's great because I can just pick it up and play. I don't feel lost.
Yeah. No, it's a good transition. That's one I'm playing too. Still not quite top 10 for me. I'll talk about what I think about it in a second, but still not top 10. I mean, it's no Tiny Metal or SteamWorld Dig 2. I can tell you that right now.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I would probably buy Tiny Metal, and I said this about Golf Story, and it's true. Golf Story and Tiny Metal are two that I would probably buy if they weren't so expensive at launch. Like, isn't Tiny Metal like $25? I think that's ridiculous.
It's too much. It should honestly be like 15, but 20 at the most. But if it's on sale, I highly recommend it. I'm totally kidding. Persona 5 is obviously a much higher quality and has a much bigger budget than either of those. This game it has all the production value you could possibly want from a JRPG. Yeah. And I'd say the same thing about Xenoblade Chronicles 2, honestly. Those are both, to me, they're in that same echelon. I just personally enjoy the real-time battle of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 now more than Persona 5, and I do still like turn-based, but I just finished the first castle. I'm not that far into it, but I do read a lot of the dialogue. I skip a lot more than I normally do. You know me, I don't skip anything, but you're right. They talk way too much.
They talk way too much.
I do skip some of the dialogue. Some of the story is kind of interesting. That first villain that you and Kyle talked about a couple weeks ago, I totally agree that he's one of the better villains. He's super creepy, super horrible person. But anyway, overall I like it. But I'm having the same experience I had with Persona 4 Golden on the Vita, where I played it. Everyone recommended it. I got it for super, super cheap, if not free. I can't remember if that was ever on PS Plus or not. But anyway, finally tried it and thought it was fun. But boy, that repetitive cycle of you get up, you go to school, there's a couple of scenes. Maybe you go to the castle to fight for a while, or maybe you don't. And then you go back home, there's a couple of scenes, and then you go to sleep. And then you have a little dream about some big-nosed dude in a prison talking to you, and then you wake up again, and it happens all over again. Is that the worst loop ever? No, it just isn't that appealing to me. So I'm enjoying it, but it still wouldn't quite crack the top 10 for me. I'm not sure how much I'll keep playing it. I wanted to get the experience because it's super stylish. It's very cool. The way they use colors and like that one victory lap he does after he wins some battles is super cool. There's just a lot to like about the style and the visuals, so I totally agree with all that. I just don't know time to do this kind of stuff is limited, and so I don't know if I want to invest time in something.
That's what I was gonna say. I think what I hate the most about JRPGs, and we had a post in our group not too long ago where they were asking the question, do you prefer JRPGs or WRPGs, Western RPGs? And of course, I voted for woke AF RPGs because those are clearly the best of the two.
Is that what the WJRPG stands for? Woke
as fudge JRPGs. But no, but the reason I wouldn't vote for JRPGs, even though I love Final Fantasy 15, but anybody who played Final Fantasy 15 knows they went a lot Western. They're still JRPG, but they definitely, as far as combat, were influenced heavily by Western RPG, even like the open world and all that stuff. So my big problem with JRPGs and Persona 5 struggles from this is, and maybe it's never going to change, and I'm wanting something that's just a part of what JRPGs are, and it's not my right to change them, but I really want those games to get away from this 80-hour BS, and it's not because it's full of 80 hours of great content. They recycle content over and over and over. And Jesse White and I were talking about this in our private chat. Jesse he's playing Persona 5 too, and he's getting frustrated with it. He was loving it, and then he kind of hit a wall where he's like, okay, this is getting annoying. And it's because he's getting one shot killed. And it's because, guess what? He has to go, and I don't know if you've hit this really, but you're about ready to. He has to go to, I think it's called Mementos or something like that. Mentos. And you go, and it's just kind of like this dark world where you just grind. You loot treasure and you fight. That's the whole point of it. Yeah. And it's how it helps your character level up. Well, again, when I'm playing like The Witcher 3, The Witcher 3 doesn't go, oh, you can't go to that story mission. You need to go over to this part of the land, and you have to kill 80 million wolves to level up 5 times, and then you can come back. It doesn't do that. It feels like a world that's alive, and you just do what you can. If you run into something you can't kill, you just go somewhere else. But you're always moving forward. You're always doing something. Yeah. This game feels like, no, just keep doing this over and over. Oh, now you're powerful enough. Go do this. Yeah.
Well, I do again, like I said, with the style, I like that a lot. I don't even mind that it's very linear in its like physical structure in terms of there's only a few places you can travel to. I don't need every game to be open world.
That's fine. I don't care about that.
Yeah, that part of it's fine. It is a little convoluted that first time when they send you on the subway stations and there's really no clear markers. You kind of have to follow some very very subtle, hard to follow clues as to which train station to connect to. like I feel like that kind of stuff is me wasting time. Just take me to the next story moment, but just get me through all the dialogue you want me to get through, and then let me go back and do some fighting. Because the battles are pretty fun, right? You've got this shooting mechanic. All characters have like some sort of gun type of a weapon they can use. Capturing these creatures to become personas for you. There's a lot of really cool things they introduce. Throughout the battle systems, and I think it's very clever and it's very well done. As far as turn-based battling goes, it's right up there with the best of them. It's very fun, all right? It's very satisfying, and it makes sense. But I feel like I wasted a lot of time doing things I don't want to have to do. Like, why do you make me go back, talk to Sakura, the guy who's kind of taking care of you in that restaurant? You have to talk to him for a few minutes. Then you go upstairs, and you can wander around your room again if you want to, or you have to walk over and hit, do I want to go to sleep now? Just take me right to the dream. Like, if this game is this long, a lot of it's padded out with those moments. So that's me being nitpicky. It's probably not a game that's designed with an audience member like me in mind, but I'm trying to enjoy it and experience it, and I don't think I'm going to keep going through it too much longer. I might jump in every once in a while. The reason why I played as much as I have, I've probably played not that long, maybe 8 hours, 9 hours, something like that.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah, so I feel like I've experienced it enough to know why people love it. So I get it. I get the Daniel Freitas of the world and others who they think this is the greatest game ever. I totally understand why.
But whatever.
I don't agree with it being the best game of the year, but I do or even close. But I do think it is good. I see why people love it. Another thing is, it's one of those great examples of if you have a Vita, doing remote play works great with this because it's turn-based.
It's a good Vita game. Definitely.
Yeah, it works great. It works great playing remote play on the Vita. I've put in several hours, right before bed as I'm laying in bed with the Vita instead of having to kind of be attached to the living room down on the couch. So I've enjoyed. That I've enjoyed quite a bit. So that takes away my desire for this thing to come out on the Switch. I know it never would anyway. I think they've made that clear, but that takes away that kind of nagging, ooh, if they put it on Switch, I would play it. Well, no, I got to experience it in the same type of way, the handheld mode. So it works great on the Vita because, there's no like real-time action needed for the most part. So,
I just think what I was trying to say, and I didn't finish it, is get to the point, was I think I would be more committed to saying, like with Zelda, I said, I will leave this game, I will come back, but I will finish it. Now, I was determined to finish it because I knew it was going to be one of the greatest experiences. I can't say that about Persona 5. But my issue with Persona 5 is it has this big, huge 80-hour marker hanging over my head going, do you really want to do this another 60 hours just to see this story play through that you're probably going to go, that was it? Or I guess that was okay. And that's my issue. Is it fun to play? Yes. But I have the same issue as you. I can move around the map. You can quick travel. And I do that a lot. I'm kind of guessing where I'm going, though. Because a lot of times I'll be like, well, I want to see that cute blonde so I can take her out and give her a gift so I can grow closer to her so I can hopefully bang her later. Well, I don't know where she's at. So I'm just like kind of guessing, So there's a lot of stuff I'm like wasting my time, but overall it's a good game. I agree with you, and it hence me not calling it trash. I won't call it trash. I'll call Nier trash, but I won't call it trash because I think it's
fans
good.
of Persona 5, as much as we like to call them out, when people love a game a little too much, they're not tryhards. This is a fantastic JRPG, and if it's the only game that you own, like we have problems, right? We buy too many games. We have tons of games always on deck, ready to play, and we're always overwhelmed with how much stuff we want to get through and experience and talk about. If you're the kind of person who really just gets 1 or 2 games over a long period of time and you just stick with those games, this is a great one. If you like JRPGs, this is the kind of game you can just ignore everything else and just dive into this and let this be that one game you play. If I played this, 10, 15 years ago, I may have really played it start to finish, completely. But I just go through games too quickly now, and I'm always looking forward to the next thing. And since that was one of those, hey, I've got some time before the next big game comes out that I want to play, let me go ahead and try this and the next one I'll talk about in Resident Evil 7, and let me just give them a shot, find out what all the hubbub was about. And so I did. I feel like I've given them both a good shot. Let's talk about Resident Evil 7 real quick. That game, it has a ton of style as well. Obviously, like we talked about, the lighting is amazing. If I had if I could redo that conversation, I probably would have fought for that over like Little Nightmares. Although Little Nightmares is impressive for the visuals, but Resident Evil 7's visuals are pretty fantastic. There's a few moments with
Resident Evil 7, and granted, bigger budget, bigger title.
right, absolutely.
The comparison. This is why I said, because I played Little Nightmares too. Like I tried it. Little Nightmares is a little bit more like you can see like the edges. It's not as crisp. Resident Evil 7 is a very crisp game. Like the lighting is spot on, just like Little Nightmares, but it's just crisper looking than Little Nightmares.
Yeah, I mean the worst parts of the visuals of Resident Evil 7 are just like most games like this. It's when you get real up close to the characters on screen. For the most part, they look good and they're well acted. We talked about that too, right? And the Baker family is truly creepy and horrifying. But yeah, they still look video gamey up close. Their eyes and their faces still look kind of video gamey. That's the worst thing you can say about it. Everything else looks great. It's a truly creepy game. I play it with headphones, at nighttime with all the lights off because I want that full all right, scary game. Let's see what you got, So
admit it, you're too scared to finish it. That's what your problem is.
No, I won't admit that because that's not the case. It is creepy.
You are lying.
There are a couple of scenes that I thought like it was horror movie, like high quality horror movie quality. So they've done a few things in there that were really, really good. But I'm at the point now, so I got past the whole garage fight scene, and then there's several videos you watch. You get to play through some of the video experiences that you watch. There's then the next building or house, whatever it's called. I got through that whole area. So I've played this game for 4 hours maybe.
Dude, you're halfway through. Just finish it.
I'm not interested in finishing it. So
I
haven't.
Gosh.
But I haven't written it off. I feel like I've written off Persona 5 more than Resident Evil 7. So Resident Evil 7 is still sitting there ready for me to fire up and play again. I feel like I probably will play it some more. Persona 5, I feel like I might be totally done with it.
All right, so what's holding you back? I mean, obviously I can't force you to play it, but you're halfway through.
Yeah.
The story's got to be somewhat intriguing. There is a mystery there. So why do you not want to finish it?
That's it. The story isn't that intriguing to me.
Why?
I don't know. I'm not finding it that interesting.
I thought it was. I wanted to know why the Baker family were the way they were. I wanted to find Lucas. I think his name's Lucas Baker.
Yeah.
I wanted to find Zoe and find out who she is. I have no idea who Zoe is and why she's helping me.
Okay, so yes, there are questions to answer. So I would feel incomplete, like quitting a movie halfway through. And
why is my wife crazy?
Right, exactly. What is going on, and this is a minor spoiler for the beginning of the game, but not only why is she crazy, but why did she go all weird and attack me, but then she's okay, and it's nuts, right?
It's like she's fighting herself, yeah.
Exactly. She's got a battle going on internally, clearly. So, listen, I'm not saying it's uninteresting, but it doesn't have me so hooked that, like, when you're watching a TV show and you're binging, you have to get the next episode. When you're playing certain games, like when you're playing The Witcher 3, for example, certain story moments, like the Red Baron quest, famously, are so intriguing you have to get to the next moment. I don't feel that with this game, and here's the problem. I expected to feel it more, like really wanting to get to the bottom of what's going on in this creepy house. But I'm not feeling as much as I thought, and I actually don't think the gameplay is fun at all. Like I don't enjoy the gameplay. The combat mechanics I think are pretty bad. Like the hit detection when I'm using the knife, or the gun shooting is okay. I shouldn't say that's bad. It's okay. Although you only have 16 bullets on a good day, so there's not a lot of bullets to use. Mm-hmm. That's Resident Evil. I understand. But even the stealth mechanics, as you're being hunted by certain villains in certain parts, there's really no clear-cut way to do the stealth. And there were plenty of times that I'm like, they should have seen me. And so that breaks me out of the real fear of it all, because then I reminded I'm playing a video game, and the detection box was clearly not drawn correctly. So I've had a few moments like that pull me out of the fun of playing it, and I'm just not having a ton of fun with the actual gameplay moments. That's my problem with it. So for me, Persona 5 I have enjoyed way more than Resident Evil 7, but it's very daunting. Resident Evil 7, I realize the end is pretty close. Like I'm halfway through it, right? So that's why I'm more likely, I think, to wrap up Resident Evil 7. I can throw it on my games completed list and say, I finally played what you guys were all loving. Here's why I thought it was whatever I end up thinking that it is. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn on both those games. Persona 5 I enjoy a ton, but I just don't feel like I've got the I don't know if time is the right word. I don't have the motivation to put that much time into that game.
I think it's harder when you know, and I've been struggling with this. It was even a struggle to finish The Witcher 3 when you know you have, at this point, I had Nier that I felt like I needed to finish. Yakuza 0, I felt bad I hadn't played. Persona 5, I hadn't finished. I'm 25 hours into Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but I've been saying I've been 20-something hours into it for like 3 or 4 weeks, so I haven't really been touching it lately. So sometimes I get it. Sometimes you're just like, oh, I shouldn't be playing this because of this. I shouldn't really invest in Persona 5 because I should play this. But at the end of the day, right now, at least for me, and again, I don't know how long I'll play Persona 5. It's the one I'm in the mood for, so it's the one I'm kind of enjoying right now.
And I think, so just to be very clear, if you don't like spooky games, then Resident Evil 7 might not be the game for you, if you're listening. I don't typically like them, but I excited about horror movies too, and yet they do intrigue me when there's finally one that kind of comes to my attention and I watch it. I do enjoy them sometimes. So it is creepy. So if you don't like scary games, maybe this isn't the game for you. But it's not so much that, so much as it is, I feel exactly what you're talking about. I want to get back to Xenoblade. It's been over a week since I've played that game, and I want to dive back in and really get through that because I'm just having so much fun with it when I do play it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't say that I'm in a kind of a funk like you were describing with games, but I am much less likely to commit to a single game and play through it. I'd rather just play bits and pieces and try some stuff here and there, and then play something that's kind of mindless while a TV show or movie's on. Like I've been catching up on some movies from last year, things like that. So I've been playing things like Picross S was on sale for the Switch. That's essentially a glorified phone puzzle game. It just isn't on your phone. It's like Sudoku, if you've ever played that kind of math, crossword, numbers kind of a thing. Very fun, very addictive. Very easy to put down. Again, it's kind of like playing a phone game. I also played through all of Never Stop Sneakin', the follow-up from the guy who did, I'm going to blank out on what it's called now. It's that side-scrolling game. It's got like a samurai-looking kid wearing blue. Dust. Elysium Tale. It's a one-man show. He made this Never Stop Sneakin' all by himself. It's a top-down stealth game. It's very much meant to be kind of I wouldn't say an honor of Metal Gear Solid, but it definitely rips some pieces of it off, and it's just complete parody. It's just a complete joke. There's really no story there. It's all meant to be funny. This is no insult to the guy who made this game. I don't think it's very funny. Everything in that game is meant to be super funny, and I think it's kind of clever, but not super funny, unfortunately. And the gameplay is fun for about 2 or 3 levels, and then I realized, oh my goodness, they just did the same thing over and over again for this entire game. So once you figure it out, it's very disappointing when you realize it's a very repetitive game. So kind of creative, but it's the kind of game that I would say, hey, if it ever comes out on phone, just get it for free on your phone. Otherwise, just don't worry about it. Played through a little bit of Rive. It's a very tough side-scrolling shoot-'em-up game. Kind of reminds me at times of like old school Contras combined with Resogun, because you are flying at times. You're in a tank on the ground at times. Pretty fun, pretty stylish, but dude, that game is really hard. So those are the kind of games that I've been just trying out here and there. I bought them on sale and, building out the Switch library and really enjoying smaller experiences like that. And then I got to 2 demos recently. These are the last 2 I'll talk about before we dive into the Nintendo Direct. I finally played through the Octopath Traveler demo, which has been sitting on my Switch since they released it. I just hadn't played it.
Yeah.
I played through both little storylines with the warrior and with the dancer. I forget her name or what her actual class name is. And this game looks incredible. It's got this really cool depth of field with old pixel art style, and yet it looks very 3D and alive. It is a beautiful looking game, and the combat is pretty basic, but it has some cool things they've done to it, where there's weaknesses to certain weapon types, swords, lances, that kind of thing, and you have to break their defense, and then you can do an all-out attack. So it takes some pieces from Persona, honestly, that kind of whole idea of knocking them down, and then the Octopath version, it's a break, you're breaking their defense, and then you can unleash your attacks. A lot of that comes straight out of other games, so it's nothing really groundbreaking, but it just seems really well done, really high quality. I'm looking forward to this game a lot. I think Octopath Traveler looks great. There's 8 different characters. They each have their own set of special abilities. Like the warrior can walk up to any character, any NPC, and challenge them to a duel, and you can earn experience from defeating them one-on-one. And the dancer can go up and essentially get them to follow her, and you can move characters around for various puzzle-solving type reasons. So there you go. Octopath Traveler looks pretty interesting. Don't know if that's going to be what it's called, but that's what it's called for now. And then my son Shepard and I have been playing Dragon Quest Builders. That demo just came out, and it's basically a much prettier Minecraft in the Dragon Quest universe, where there's slimes hopping around and all that kind of stuff. And it's fun. There's little moments where it reminds me of Minecraft, and moments where it reminds me of something like Kingdom for Keflings, where you get a blueprint. It's very basic. You get a couple of materials you have to gather and put them in the right order, and boom, you've built the building. So it's good. It's good. It's the kind of game that my son, I think, would play a lot, though. So that comes out on February 9th, by the way. So there you go.
So you're going to buy that because it's on the Switch?
I'm going to buy it because it's on the Switch, yes. It's already out, obviously, for those of you who don't know, on Vita, PS4, that kind of stuff. But I'm pretty sure I'll buy it. The only other thing I'm thinking, real quick, is that my son Shepard likes it so much, and I, of course, like my Switch so much, I might end up getting it for the Vita and just let him start playing that more often instead. That way I can keep the Switch. So he really likes that game, but it's not a Switch.
It's not a bad idea.
So I might do that. Give the Vita some usage and keep my Switch in my hands. We'll see. All right, speaking of Nintendo, though, they had what I think was one of the better trolls of the year on Twitter, and they didn't even start it. So what happened back in November was there was a supposed leak that they were going to have, and it turns out to be true. They're going to have a direct presentation on January 11th. So everyone's counting down till the next. It's been a little while since we've heard from Nintendo. What are they going to do in 2018? We've heard some rumblings here and there. What really are their plans, though? What's coming in 2018? Some of their staff have said things like, if you thought 2017 was good, wait till you see 2018. So we're all getting, whether or not we want to be, we're all getting hyped up for what is Nintendo going to do after such an incredible year. So word starts leaking out, January 11th is the day. Well, as we get 2 or 3 days beforehand, people know Nintendo usually officially announces these things within the 24 to 48 hour window before a Direct. And no one had heard anything. They're tweeting out about other stuff. They're tweeting out about who knows what. And so people are getting really upset, and they're tweeting at Nintendo. And finally, Nintendo, the day before, I think this was on the 10th, they tweet out a picture of Chibi Robo covered in fire, holding an unplugged plug, and with his arms up in the air on fire. And that's all. No context, nothing. And that, of course, to me was one of the funnier trolls. They know that people are crazy for this thing. I think probably Nintendo was a little irritated that this stuff leaked out, and so they weren't talking about it. And then the next morning, without saying anything, they went ahead and posted their live Nintendo Direct Mini, they called it. So I thought it was pretty cleverly played by them. They got all the marketing they could have possibly wanted, and they didn't have to spend a dime or lift a finger. They got tons of marketing by just being quiet. So I thought that was interesting. There are people who don't even know about video games or Nintendo Direct who saw this thing trending on Twitter. It's very interesting. So anyway, the Direct finally aired. It was about 14 and a half minutes long, and they made a few announcements, but there's a reason they called this a mini. I think there's big news to come this year from Nintendo. I just don't think we got necessarily the big heavy hitters. I just think we got a little taste of what the year has in store to kind of.
I mean, we're gonna go through it, but it's a lot of like re-releases of games that have been on other consoles, and a couple of like new stuff from Nintendo. But it's not their heavy hitters. So
at all.
If they
it basically fills out the calendar through, I would say, March-ish,
Yeah.
right? There's a couple of May games they announced, but it gives us an idea of what to expect in this first quarter, second quarter.
Yeah, I think it was handled well. I have no problem with it, and we'll go through it now. But I'm hoping, while I was happy about some certain announcements that we'll cover, I'm hoping there are some heavy hitters for Nintendo this year. I mean, because if you think about it, last year we got Zelda and we got Mario.
Right.
So.
Well, we also had Mario Kart, which I think Mario Kart 8 was one of the best-selling games of the year as well.
Yeah,
so
and I don't think you're going to get a
games.
Mario Kart 9 this year. You're not going to get another 3D Mario. You might get what's that one where you create your own levels? What's it called?
Mario Maker.
Yeah, you might get like a Mario Maker for the Switch, but I don't see another Zelda, Mario Kart, or a 3D Mario coming out this year. So
Well, assuming we have time at the end, we'll make one
yeah,
prediction at the end, and my prediction actually involves something Nintendo I think will do this year. So we'll get to that. So here's what they announced with the Direct. They are making remastering, I suppose. The World Ends With You. It's the final remix edition. It does look way prettier, of course. This came out on the DS 10 years ago.
I have no idea what it is.
And it's a very Japanese game. It's kind of a rhythm-based action RPG.
Ooh,
it's really
no.
cool. I got it from GameFly back in the day, but I ended up returning it relatively quickly because if I remember right, what came out right then? I think it might have been a Halo game. Something major came out that I wanted to get and play with friends. So I didn't give this game a lot of time, but it looks very stylish, very cool, very Japanese. The World Ends With You final remix coming to Switch sometime this year. Over the next few months, Pokken Tournament DX is getting 2 waves of DLC with a whole bunch of Pokemon characters. Who cares? They announced that, though. Kirby Star Allies is coming out on March 16th. It's got up to 4-player co-op. Looks like a very fun, family-friendly platformer. If you know anything about Kirby games, you know they're very colorful, very charming, and very easy. So this is a good game to play with young kids, I would think. Actually, when I was watching the Direct on YouTube, and my wife was in the room, and she goes, "Well, there's a game I might play with you." So it appeals to apparently certain females and young kids.
They
So
love those fat boys. Fat boys, they eat everything.
Interesting. So Kirby Star Allies comes out March 16th. Dragon Quest Builders, of course, they announced the demo is available today. That was a bit of a surprise for people. I do like when Nintendo is starting to, at least developers are starting to put out their demos on the Switch eShop a lot more. That's helpful. I like that. Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition is combining all the content from the Wii U release and the 3DS release into one definitive edition for the Switch. It's going to have all 29 characters from both versions, all the premium DLC that came to either of previous versions as well. They're also going to add some Breath of the Wild outfits. I don't know if they had 2-player before, but this one will have 2-player split screen action if you want to play it that way. They didn't say
You can't
anything
play it
about,
online.
They didn't say anything about online to my knowledge again. This is supposed to come in spring of 2018. From what I've heard, Fire Emblem Warriors is the superior game to Hyrule Warriors. That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's true.
I liked both, but I felt like Fire Emblem implemented, like they created a Warriors game, but they also implemented a little bit of the Fire Emblem side of it.
Right.
So I like that. But
Yeah.
both of them, I had a lot of fun with Hyrule Warriors. I didn't finish it, but I played I want to say 5 to 6 hours of it, so I can't imagine it was much longer than that. I went through a good amount of it, but I'll definitely buy it again because I sold it. I sold my Wii U version, so I'll probably buy the Switch version.
Yeah. It's yet another just kind of nice action game to have on the system, especially if you're really into the Muso style games. If you're a Dynasty Warriors fan and you have a Switch, this is a no-brainer. And then the announcement that I was personally most excited about was Mario Tennis Aces is coming to Switch this spring. It looks gorgeous. I mean, it looks so good. There was one shot in particular that I actually rewound and looked at again, where there's a tennis court in a forest, right, with lighting coming in through the trees, and it looked like a shot from Mario Odyssey. It looked absolutely gorgeous. It's going to include a full story mode with challenges.
That's what I'm excited about. If it's
boss
a legit
battles.
Story mode.
Yep. I think it's the same company who made Mario Tennis Advance, I think, or maybe it was Mario Golf Advance. Anyway, it's a company who has a history of taking these games that shouldn't have a story and adding a story mode that's interesting, fun, has some RPG-light elements to it. And I imagine that'll be the case here as well. If nothing else, Mario Tennis is one of my favorite multiplayer games from back in the day. We spent a lot of time playing this back on the N64 and then on GameCube. I love this series, and I'm glad it's coming back. So that'll be a nice spring release as well. Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana, coming to Switch this summer. I don't know much about this, but when I saw the trailer for it, I hadn't really heard anything about it before this, other than the title. It looked to me like a not as cool version of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I don't know if that's what it is or not.
It's more action than Xenoblade.
Okay.
And it's not going to be as high quality. But it's... I mean, it's something that I think you would like if you could get it for $10 to $20.
Okay. So that's coming out this summer. That might be one of those games that gets a little bit of an extra boost from not having a ton of competition. We'll see how this summer shakes out. A free update for Mario Odyssey is coming. It's called Balloon World. It's this balloon challenge with Luigi. Very straightforward. You can either go hide a balloon and get other players to go find it anywhere in these different levels, or you go find the balloons that have been hidden. There's leaderboards, all that kind of stuff. The bottom line is Luigi's going to be in the game, but not really. He's just an NPC to talk to. I was hoping they were going to add Luigi when I saw him to actually play as, but as far
I
as
think
know,
they will eventually. I think this is the first teaser, but I think they're either going to add co-op, or their plans are to make a Mario Odyssey 2 with co-op.
yeah,
That will be.
I
the
mean, the
big
co-op
change.
now is just like one person controls the hat, right? So
Yeah,
it's okay.
which
but
I
not
don't
great.
care about that.
And speaking of new characters, Mario plus Rabbids DLC is going to be adding Donkey Kong with a new DLC pack scheduled for this spring as well. No date given for that either, but we know Donkey Kong is joining, and don't know what his weapon is, but he did throw a banana and killed a bunch of bad guys, so who knows? Maybe his weapon is a banana boomerang. So that comes out this spring sometime. SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy. Looks like a game that I do not care about,
Nope.
but that comes out this summer on Switch as well. Payday 2, which comes out on February 27th, they highlighted a few details about exclusive content for multiplayer mode, things like that. That comes out in February.
How about they just let us play as Mario, Luigi, Wario,
Robin Banks?
Waluigi robbing banks?
That would be amazing. Or,
I'm
you know,
gonna
they all wear
Wii.
masks. They should put in Mario masks, for real. They should have included Nintendo character masks for that game. That would have been stellar.
They probably wouldn't do it because it's a mature title.
Probably.
Nintendo's very, very careful with that stuff.
They are. And then on February 16th, I'm surprised this is coming this soon. I thought this game would get pushed back some more. But the game Faye from EA is coming out on February 16th. I do not know if this is coming out to Switch before everything else, or if that's the release date for all platforms. I think that's the release date for all platforms. But that comes out on
That's
February
very
16th.
fast. That game kind of looks like Ori.
Looks a lot
I don't
like
think
Ori.
it plays like it. It just has that kind of like aesthetics.
I tried to look at the trailers and get a feel for what that game's going to play like. I think it's going to play like a pretty standard 3D platformer. That doesn't mean it won't be fun or creative. I'm just saying it looks like it controls like a pretty standard move in 3D space, kind of old mascot platformer from when they used to do Kung Fu Panda type stuff, right? Where it could play fine. I'm hoping it's creative because it looks really pretty, kind of like you said with Ori. January 25th, a game called Celeste is coming out. It's an old school side-scrolling pixelated game. It's coming out. Looks like a lot of climbing. I don't know. That comes out to the eShop on the 25th. And then we have another Wii U port making its way here, which this is one I'm second most excited about because, again, I skipped the Wii U. So other than Mario Kart 8, this is one of the ones I wanted to play the most, and that's Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. It's coming on May 4th to the Switch. It is notoriously difficult. It turned a lot of people off to the game in general. So thankfully, they are adding a new Funky Kong mode where you can play as Funky Kong, and he apparently has, I don't know if he's invincible, but it's way easier to play with him.
I don't think he is. I think it's because of his surfboard that can't be broken.
With the spikes, right.
Yeah, it's
But
hard
he can
for
also
anything
corkscrew
to kill
through
you.
water where he can't get hurt while he's corkscrewing, and he can kind of like tumble through levels where he can't. So there's ways you can move around where you won't get hurt. I'm glad they're making it a little more accessible, but I will try the original version just to see what all the hubbub was about with the difficulty.
It's a great game. I didn't beat it, but I'm definitely buying it on the Switch. I gotta own that. I love Donkey Kong.
Yeah, I love the Donkey Kong Country series too. And then the last game they announced was already kind of leaked beforehand, so not as big of a shock for people as it could have been, and that is that Dark Souls Remastered, which is coming to other systems, is also coming to the Switch. And then after the announcement, they did confirm it's going to be in 1080p and run at 30 frames per second when in docked mode. No confirmation on undocked yet. I'm sure it still will run fine.
It probably will be 720p at 30 frames per second.
Exactly. So yeah, less resolution, just like most games with undocked mode. So there you go. There was a Nintendo Direct Mini. In general, what are your thoughts on this? Overall positive, even though there weren't any home runs?
Again, and I didn't know going into it that, they were talking about 2018 being better than 2017. I don't think it's realistic, to be honest with you, that 2018 will be better than 2017, so I'm not going to put that on them. But I think for this little mini, there was 3 games that I was super excited for, and that was Dark Souls Remastered. Now, I doubt I'll buy it on the Switch, so it's not that I'm really excited that it's coming to the Switch.
Yeah.
But I'm real excited that's coming. And then I would say 2 is Mario Tennis Aces. I'm real excited about that. The last Mario Tennis game on the Wii U was a complete bust. What a letdown. And yes, I did buy it and actually play it to say that it is a letdown, because all it was just an arcade version of the game. There was nothing else to the game. And it was just like, okay,
notoriously
this was fun.
one of the most lackluster releases Nintendo's ever made.
Yeah, I played it with my kids for a little while. I was like, okay, this is cool. And then when I went to go look for other stuff on the game, I was like, oh, there's nothing to play.
It was described by most people as something that seems like it should have just been a mini game in a Mario Party game, because it was that bare. Yeah.
There wasn't anything. And then the third one would definitely be Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. So that being said, I only really cared about one new IP or new game, whereas the other 2 are re-releases or are remastered.
Yeah.
And then Hyrule Warriors, but that would also be a game that I've already played. So I would give it, if I had to score it, I'd give it a 6.5, a 7. It had that one new game that I'm excited for, but other than that, it's just re-releases.
Okay. Yeah, I like the idea of scoring it. I'd probably give it a solid 7.5. Not quite good enough to be an 8 because there wasn't that home run game. But because I'm excited to play The World Ends With You, Hyrule Warriors I'm kind of meh on, but Mario Tennis Aces I'm pumped for. The Fe, however you say that. I'm really excited for that, although that's not a Switch exclusive, but I am excited for it. And then, of course, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Super pumped for that one as well. So
I was going to say, for you, I could understand it being higher because you didn't own the Wii U.
Yeah.
I've experienced Hyrule Warriors. I've experienced DKC, Tropical Freeze.
Yeah.
You haven't, so... And I will say this. Even if you're not a Warriors fan, and you don't have to buy it right away.
But I'm a mega Zelda fan, though, right? I'm a huge Zelda fan.
Yeah, I think you need to play Fire Emblem and Hyrule. I think they're that fun, and it's really cool. Like, when I saw that they were going to bring in the Breath of the Wild outfits, that's all that is outfits, and I was like, oh, I gotta have this game, because I just want to play that game in those outfits. I love the Breath of the Wild, so I think it's worth owning. I think it's a solid 8 and above for somebody like you.
Yeah. For
somebody like me who's played a few of those, I would say 6.5.
And the reason that I'm not, see this, a lot of people got really upset with this. Oh, it's just ports and whatever else. Where's the big games? I just think we've got a lot more of the year left.
It's a mini. Yeah, it's
we're
a mini.
January. We're barely halfway through January. We're not even halfway through January yet. People are already upset that they're not hearing enough about what's coming out this year.
That's stupid.
It's really dumb. It's really dumb. I'm very excited for what Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft have in store this year. There's no reason.
And I was just gonna say, where is Microsoft and Sony having a little mini conference telling you all the games that are coming out in 2018?
Exactly.
They're not. No. And I'm not saying we don't know. We do know. PlayStation has a more than a solid lineup for 2018. But my point is this is not everything Nintendo's doing. This is just them saying, hey guys, first 3 months, looking pretty good, huh? Yep. Even if it's re-releases, that's the funny part is you get these re-releases, people complain about it. But I already said I would love, and I probably will buy Dark Souls on the Switch. I would love to have a lot of games I love on the go. Now, I don't travel a lot, and that's why I'm like, well, should I buy it on the Switch? But I like the fact that Doom's there. Dark Souls is there. I like that they're bringing their old Wii U games. So keep them coming. I have zero issues with that as long as, and they're doing it so far, they continue to pump out brand new IPs by them.
Yes.
And
third party. Yep.
Yeah, and third party.
Yep. Which is why I'm encouraged that not only do we have a handful of new games from Nintendo that haven't been released yet, right? Even though I'm not a Kirby fan, you got Kirby coming out, and you've got Mario Tennis coming out, and then we have a few brand new game releases like Faye coming out. It's coming out on all platforms. It's nice to see that the new ones are coming out, but I do understand that a majority of this list is stuff that's already released on other systems somewhere. So I get the gripe. I just wish people would take it easy and let the year unfold, because in January there really isn't that marquee release that the Switch has had pretty much every month. This is going to be the first month that we don't really have a marquee Switch exclusive. But we do have some fairly big games that we'll get to, but nothing crazy, really, for any system. So they're not alone. There's really only one multi-platform game that everyone's getting pretty hyped for, and we'll get to that. So, yes, we will get to that, but not this week. Next week, tune in for our 2018 preview episode. Thanks for listening this week. Be curious to hear what some of you think about our Nintendo Direct reactions, as well as some of my thoughts on Resident Evil 7. I might have been overly harsh. To be honest, I have played it a bit since then, and I am enjoying the mystery of the story a bit more. Derek was right. Sorry to admit it, but it's true. But anyway, want to hear your reactions to what we've talked about so far. Feel free to hit us up at fathersofthegrind@gmail.com or on our Facebook group or page. We'd love to hear from you guys. And next week, it's all about 2018. Thanks. See ya.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things here.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?